Welcome back and thank you for joining us today at Indigo Moon. You know, we don't always know exactly what it is that God has planned for us. It's designed that way for us to learn and grow through the experiences. So, I told you before that I grew up with a spiritual advisor. And recently there was a conversation as to how my spiritual advisor would be with or understand or even work with an individual who could be so mean or so manipulative. And here it is. God gives us all a job to do. And sometimes we have to figure out this most strategic way of handling it. So God gives the spiritual advisor a family. And this family he needs to work with. But if he decides to say that he doesn't want to work with the father of this family, then how are the children supposed to learn? God grants guidance. And with that guidance, there's always going to be some form of a challenge to where you have to go within and pray and ask God for guidance. So people say, well, if he was so horrible, how is it that this spiritual advisor could have worked with him? Again, you have different children in that family. And in that family, those children are going to have certain guidance. Without that guidance, they would be led astray and they would not be placed on their spiritual path correctly. So although it would be a challenge for the spiritual advisor, it will be a challenge for each individual. You see, each test must be passed during this lifetime or during another time. Now, some people don't believe that, that this is even possible, and everyone is granted their own way of seeing things. Like I said, we're all learning and growing. But in this case, he was also told that if he did not straighten up his actions, there would be a great deal of damage done, and there would be a great medley of lessons that were going to have to be made. A lot of decisions, whether they be good decisions or bad decisions, there's still decisions that are made, and there's still growth tools. So in this case, you have all the family members, and you say, okay, this one person, this one child was a daddy's boy or a daddy's girl. What happened? What changed so drastically? You see, you can continue to forgive a person, but if you continue to follow a person who is going down the wrong direction, what happens to you? There was a song that we grew up listening to in church. It says, mama can't do it, daddy can't do it, only you can do it. Now, these are the decisions that you make in your lifetime. These are the patterns that you follow through with. These are all of these different examples of what can happen if you follow and go down the wrong road. When you turn on the water and you're washing dishes, once the dishes are done and you take the plunger, or excuse me, not the plunger, you take the cork out of the bottom, the base of that sink, and the water goes down that drain. There's certain things you can't stop from falling down there. You, on the other hand, have a head, you have a brain, and you can make certain decisions and choices that are going to help you in the end. If your mother, your father, your cousin, your sister, if anyone is doing the wrong thing and you're following them, then you will find that your response, or should I say your reward, is not going to be good if it's a negative way in which you're doing it. You see, God is giving so many different examples, so many warnings, so many directions. And when I say warning, what is a warning? A warning is usually someone saying, please don't do that, or an example where something went wrong and you say, okay, I know not to do that again. You cook food on the stove and this is your favorite dish. When it burns, you know to turn that fire down the next time you prepare it, right? It is important that we realize that each example is a tool that's going to teach us a lesson. I was talking about, covering the head, how the Bible speaks of how women shouldn't cut their hair. And, even the other, even the Torah, all of them say something about how a woman is supposed to behave or do certain things, and a male is supposed to do certain things. Now, I know that a lot of people say, oh, okay, that's sexist. A lot of things have changed. Yes, a lot of things have changed. But there's usually something that begins the lesson, When you're making dough, you start it with that yeast. There's a beginning and there is an end. And there's also that in between. With these different lessons that we're learning, a woman is learning on a different level because, first of all, maybe the woman has to deal with children. Maybe that woman has to prepare a home for a family. Maybe there's so many different ways of looking at things. What's good for you might not be good for me, but we all have to learn. And so long as we're learning these different lessons, we're growing one way or another. Now, I can't always see things the way that you're going to see things because our lessons, our experiences in life have been different. But each lesson is going to render that result. Let us try to pre-plan or try to meditate and pray over the situation so that the outcome is better, so that we are making better decisions and choices, so that we're not hurting or harming our other people in our lives. So that is the lesson today. Let us remember that we're not the only ones surviving on this platform in life. We have to also share. And while sharing, let us also care for the individuals that we are interacting with. That's been my word, Indigo Moon. Have a great one.